All right, so ready to dive into one of the most fascinating periods in Chinese history.
Absolutely.
We're talking about the Three Kingdoms era.
Yeah.
And we're going to be using the Penguin Classics, abridged Romance of the Three Kingdoms to kind of give us a framework for understanding this pivotal time.
Right.
And I think
it's a good place to start.
It's a great jumping off point.
Yeah.
Because it really does highlight these epic power struggles, cunning strategists.
Oh, yeah.
And just enough drama to make, like, the most intense TV show jealous.
Yeah, it's true. You know, you mentioned empires. And when we're talking about the Three Kingdoms, we really have to start with the fall of an empire, right? The collapse of the Han Dynasty around 184 AD was just this seismic event in Chinese history. So imagine for a second a realm as vast and influential as the Roman Empire just crumbling before your eyes.
Yeah.
The impact was enormous, and it left this power vacuum that just drew in all of these figures, ambitious figures, all vying to carve out their own kingdoms.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like one or two contenders, right? We're talking warlords, advisors, strategists. I mean, there's even a warrior woman in the mix.
Absolutely.
So it's like, it really is
larger than life figures.
Yeah, like a historical Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But instead of vying for an Iron Throne, they're trying to, like, piece together or take over this fragmented empire.
Exactly. And just like in Game of Thrones, these weren't just nameless, faceless entities, you know.
Right.
These were individuals with their own motivations, strengths, and weaknesses.
Oh, absolutely. Like, take Cao Cao, for example.
Oh, okay.
He was known for being ruthless, a brilliant military mind.
Oh, yeah.
But also for his poetry.
Yes.
Like, he had a very artistic side as well.
Absolutely. A patron of the arts.
Yes.
And then on the flip side, you have Liu Bei, who claimed the direct lineage to the Han emperors, and he uses that legitimacy to rally support.
Oh, wow.
He's portrayed as this virtuous and compassionate leader, a stark contrast to Cao Cao.
Yeah.
So you have that kind of, like, right away, that dichotomy.
And then you've got Sun Jian in the mix, too.
Right, right.
So while Liu Bei and Cao Cao were, you know, duking it out in the north, he establishes a dynasty in the south.
That's right.
So you've got, like, this whole
another layer of complexity.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to understand that each of these figures, and many others, were navigating this treacherous landscape, right?
Yeah.
They needed more than just military might.
Right.
They needed strategic alliances. They needed cunning advisors. They needed to be able to play the game, so to speak.
Well, and that's what's so fascinating, I think, about the Three Kingdoms is this...
The strategy?
The strategy element, right?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just these battles. It was like these giant chess matches.
Oh, yeah.
Played out on a national scale.
Absolutely.
With the fate of, you know, empires hanging in the balance. And
few understood that better than Kong Ming.
Kong Ming, right?
Liu Bei's brilliant strategist.
Yeah.
We're talking about a mastermind.
I was going to say, like, imagine, like, a Machiavelli.
Yes.
But, like, with an added air of, like, mystery and wisdom almost.
And this aura around him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't just advising Liu Bei, right?
Yeah.
He was orchestrating events, anticipating his opponent's moves with, like, uncanny accuracy.
Yeah.
Really, like, a brilliant strategist.
Yeah, his entry into the story, I feel like, is, like...
Oh, it's a turning point.
Yeah.
It really is.
But it's interesting, too, because there's this whole other element to the Three Kingdoms that I think is just as captivating. And it's
in the title, right?
It's in the title.
The romance of the Three Kingdoms.
And it's not just, like, love stories, right? It's ambition, it's betrayal. It's like these raw human elements of these power struggles.
And it makes these figures from centuries ago feel real, relatable, right? Because we understand those emotions.
And one of the most famous
examples,
one of the most famous tales that illustrates this is Diao Chan.
Oh, Biao Chan. Yeah.
A woman known for her beauty, but also her cunning.
Right.
And her story is just, it's a perfect example of how ambition and manipulation played out in this period.
Well, and we have to talk about Dongzhu because...
Oh, we have to talk about Dongzhu.
He's bad news.
He's bad news.
Not only is he holding the young emperor hostage, but, like, his cruelty, his excesses are really, like, destabilizing the Han Dynasty even further.
Oh, yeah. He's creating opportunities for other warlords to grab for power.
So you've got Wang Yun, who's, you know, an official. He's cunning in his own right.
Yeah.
And he realizes something has to be done.
He can't stand by.
But Dongzhuo is so powerful, right? So how do how do you even begin to, like, dismantle that?
How do you take down a tyrant?
Yeah, and so enter Daishan.
Well, he recognizes Dongzhu's weakness. No. Beautiful women. And so he introduces him to Diao Chan.
Okay.
And subtly fuels this dangerous infatuation.
Okay.
But he doesn't stop there.
Oh, no?
He also introduces her to Lu Bu.
Oh, okay.
Dongzhu's adopted son, a fierce warrior in his own right.
So he creates this, like, love triangle.
A love triangle, exactly.
Oh, wow.
And he knows that Lu Bu, who's known for his pride and quick temper, is not going to tolerate sharing Diao Chan's affections.
So he's playing a dangerous game here.
Very dangerous.
He's really counting on their jealousy and ambition to kind of consume them.
And consume them it does.
Right.
The rivalry between them intensifies.
Wow.
Fueled by their desire for Diao Chan, and it ultimately leads to Dongzhu's downfall, exactly as Wang Yun planned.
Wow, so it's not just a personal betrayal, it's like this...
No, it shifts the entire power dynamic of the three kingdoms.
See, this is what I love about this period, because it's not just shaped by armies and these, like, grand strategies, but by these personal stories.
Absolutely.
Of love and ambition and betrayal. And it makes it so much more, I don't know, like you're looking at history through a magnifying glass.
It's the human element.
It is, yeah.
Of history, and it reminds us that these players, these figures from centuries ago, weren't so different from us. Right. They were driven by the same desires, the same fears, the same capacity for both great and terrible deeds.
And speaking of great deeds, we've talked about like the cunning of the strategists and everything.
Right.
What about the battles themselves?
Well, I mean, we have to talk about the Battle of Red Cliffs. I mean, that's a prime example of how military brilliance could just reshape the entire landscape of the three kingdoms.
Okay, let's break down this pivotal event then, because it really does highlight how strategic thinking, not just brute force, could win the day.
It's a classic underdog story, really. So picture this hundreds of ships clashing on the Yangtze River, flames spreading across the water, the fate of empires hanging in the balance.
Oh, what a scene.
That was the Battle of Red Cliffs.
Oh, man.
A confrontation that would determine the fate of the three kingdoms.
So who are the major players in this? Who's facing off?
Well, on one side, you have the allied forces of Liu Bei and Sun Quan, right?
Okay.
And they're vastly outnumbered by Cao Cao's northern army.
So they're already at a disadvantage.
It seems like it, right? Cao Cao, confident in his numerical superiority,
of course,
seemed poised for a swift victory.
But we're talking about the three kingdoms here, so...
Nothing is ever that easy.
Right.
This is where Kong Ming's strategic genius really comes into play.
Okay. I love when we get to talk about Kong Ming.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
So he recognized that a direct confrontation would be disastrous.
Right.
So he devises this plan that relies on cunning deception and really this deep understanding of his opponent.
So how do you outmaneuver someone like Cao Cao? He's a brilliant strategist in his own right.
You're right, he was.
Like, what did he have up his sleeve?
Well, first, Kong Ming understood the element of surprise. He let Cao Cao believe he had the upper hand.
Oh, so, lulled him into a false sense of security.
Exactly.
Which I'm guessing with Cao Cao, his personality wasn't that difficult.
Probably not, no.
Yeah.
A little overconfident.
Right, yeah.
But then Kong Ming exploited another crucial element, the weather.
Okay, interesting.
He knew that a southeasterly wind was going to be absolutely crucial for his fire attack.
I see where you're going with this.
And he waited patiently for just the right moment to strike.
And I bet when that wind arrived, he was ready.
Oh, he was ready.
Yeah.
He orchestrated this daring fire attack using chained-together ships that were disguised as defectors to sow confusion and maximize the damage.
And that's pretty cunning.
Yeah.
So what happens?
Cao's massive fleet, trapped in close quarters by the wind and the flames.
Oh, no.
Decimated.
Oh, my goodness. That's brutal.
Yeah. Talk about turning the tables, right?
Wow. I mean, that's not just a victory. That's a crushing defeat.
Oh, yeah. It was a huge blow to Cao's forces and a testament to Kong Ming's strategic brilliance.
Yeah, and this battle, I mean, we're still talking about it today, so it's obviously a big deal.
Yeah, the Battle of Red Cliffs is still studied today as this masterpiece of military strategy.
Right.
And it really cemented Kong Ming's reputation as this legendary strategist, but it also shifted the balance of power.
Oh, how so?
Well, it ensured that China would remain divided for decades to come.
Wow. So one battle had these, ripple effects.
Exactly, these huge consequences.
But like we've been talking about, victory in the three kingdoms, it always seemed to come with its own set of challenges.
Always a cost, right?
Right, exactly.
And in the aftermath of Red Cliffs, we start to see some new tensions emerge, even between the victors.
Oh, interesting. So even though they're on the same side, it's not all like sunshine and roses after this big victory.
Right, exactly.
Is this where the whole proposed marriage alliance between Liu Bei and Lady Sun comes into play?
Exactly, that's right.
Oh, okay, because she's Sun Quan's sister.
Right.
Okay, all right, so this is fascinating to me because on the surface, it sounds like, okay, we're going to solidify our alliance, we're going to bring our families together, but we're talking about the three kingdoms, so I have a feeling it's not that simple.
It's never that simple, is it?
No, it's never that simple.
It really highlights that tension between political maneuvering and personal ambition.
So what was the thinking behind this alliance? I'm already getting nervous.
Well, for Sun Quan, marrying his sister to Liu Bei would give him a stronger claim to Jingzhou.
Okay, and remind me, why is Jingzhou so important?
It's essentially the gateway between the north and the south.
Oh, okay.
It controlled these vital trade routes, access to the Yangtze River.
So whoever controlled that had a significant advantage.
Huge advantage, yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
So Sun Quan saw this marriage as a way to essentially gain control of Jingzhou.
Without a fight.
Without resorting to open warfare.
Right, so it's cunning, but it also seems pretty risky.
Very risky. And you're forgetting another crucial element.
That's that.
Lady Sun was not just some pawn to be moved around the board, you know?
Right, she's her own person.
Exactly.
With her own ambitions.
She was known for her intelligence, her strong will,
right,
and above all, her loyalty to her family in Wu.
So she's not just going to be like, okay, I'm going to go marry this guy because my brother wants this piece of land.
Exactly. And her presence at Liu Bei's court created this fascinating new dynamic.
Oh, interesting.
Adding yet another layer of intrigue.
Because now you've got this uneasy alliance, this strategically vital region.
Right.
And you've got this strong-willed woman who's caught in the middle.
Exactly. A recipe for drama.
Always, always drama.
Always.
So before we get to that drama, you mentioned that Lady Sun was a pretty formidable figure.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us a little more about her. Like, what kind of role did she really play in all of this? So she wasn't afraid to, like, stand her ground?
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
I mean, imagine this. She arrives at Liu Bei's court with her own personal guard.
Wow.
Fiercely independent.
Talk about making an entrance.
Right. Not afraid to assert herself.
So how did Liu Bei handle that? Because it seems like he's in a tough spot.
He had to tread carefully, for sure. He recognized her intelligence, her strength.
Yeah.
And I think instead of seeing her as a threat, he treated her with respect.
Okay.
And eventually won her trust.
Okay, so he kind of, like, played the long game there.
He did. But, you know, these marriages of convenience, they often have a way of
blowing up.
Yeah, exactly.
And so did this one.
It did. Sun Quan, he's getting impatient, right?
Yeah.
He wants Jingzhou.
Of course.
So he attempts to lure Liu Bei back to Wu under false pretenses.
Oh, sneaky.
Right. Hoping to seize Jingzhou while he's gone.
Wow. That's a bold move.
Very bold. Some might even say reckless.
Right. And it almost worked.
It almost did.
But this is where Lady Sun really steps in, right?
She does, yeah. She's loyal to her husband. She recognizes her brother's treachery.
Wow.
And she helps Liu Bei escape.
Wow.
And she chooses to leave her family behind to do it.
Wow, that says a lot.
It really does. It shows you the complexity.
The loyalties.
Yeah, the loyalties at play during this time.
It's not always clear-cut, is it?
No, not at all.
Huh.
Personal bonds sometimes trump political expediency.
It really brings home that idea of the romance in Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Mm-hmm. It's not just about, like, lovey-dovey stuff. It's about these, like, really intense personal dramas.
Absolutely. The human drama that's unfolding against this backdrop of war and political maneuvering.
It's like Shakespearean in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
But with, like, even higher stakes.
Way higher stakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got to talk about Guan Yu.
Oh, we have to talk about Guan Yu.
Because, I mean, you can't talk about the Three Kingdoms without mentioning him.
He's iconic.
Yeah, I mean, he's like the epitome of loyalty.
He's the model warrior, right?
Right. And known for his, well, unfortunately, his tragic fate, too.
Right. Well, he embodies those Confucian ideals. Loyalty, righteousness, honor.
Yeah.
Often depicted as, you know, the perfect warrior.
The perfect warrior.
But he's also got this flaw, right?
Oh, what's that?
His unwavering pride, his belief in his own righteousness.
Oh.
It could make him a little inflexible at times, reckless.
And ultimately, that's kind of what leads to his downfall, right?
It does, yeah. After a series of victories, he gets betrayed by an ally.
Oh, no.
Captured by the forces of Wu.
No.
And he meets his end.
So even in death, he still has this impact.
Oh, absolutely. His death wasn't just a loss for Liu Bei.
Right.
It was this pivotal moment in the Three Kingdoms.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It fueled those flames of vengeance.
Wow.
And kind of pushed the conflict towards its final stages.
It's like this period, you think things can't get more intense, and they keep escalating.
You can't stop.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're getting towards the end here, and I know obviously we've just scratched the surface with the abridged version.
We really have, yeah.
Can you give us like a quick overview of how this whole saga ultimately plays out?
Well, the later chapters, they're filled with more intrigue, shifting alliances, epic battles.
Of course, it's the Three Kingdoms.
It wouldn't be the Three Kingdoms without it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, Cao's descendants, they established the Wei Dynasty.
Okay.
But it's not easy for them. They face a lot of resistance.
Of course.
Liu Bei's son struggles to maintain control of Shu.
Yeah.
Sun Quan's successors, they've got their own internal strife and external threats.
So even though, like, the Three Kingdoms period eventually gives way to, like, a unified empire,
right?
It's not a neat and tidy ending.
Not at all.
There's no, like, happily ever after, tie it all up with a bow.
It's real history.
Exactly.
It's messy.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so compelling.
It is. It's full of brilliance and brutality, political maneuvering, personal betrayals.
It's the human story, really.
It is. It is. And, you know, it might seem like ancient history, but its impact on Chinese culture.
Oh, it's huge, right?
Yeah. It's massive. I mean, think about it. The stories of the Three Kingdoms, they've been passed down through generations.
Oh, yeah.
They've inspired countless works of art, literature, even political thought.
It's amazing.
It really is a testament to this period.
Yeah.
And the themes, those themes of loyalty, ambition, betrayal, the struggle for power.
Yeah, they resonate even today.
Exactly. They're timeless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and for our listeners who are like, okay, I need more. I need to go beyond the abridged version. I got to know everything.
Dive into the full romance.
Exactly. Consider this deep dive like a starting point.
A little taste.
Yeah, a little glimpse into this world, this incredible world of intrigue where history and storytelling collide.
It's epic.
It is epic. And on that note, we'll wrap it up for today. But don't worry, we'll be back next time with another deep dive into history's most fascinating moments.